Okay, turning now to the rise in violence. Cities across the U.S., including Portland, have seen record gun violence over the last year, many cases involving a police officer.
Yeah, just last year alone, 72 police officers were killed in the line of duty, and that's the highest number in 21 years. Religious leaders are calling for action to stop this violence. So joining us live now to tell us how community involvement can really help solve this issue is Reverend Markel Hutchins, a social activist and expert in police community relations. Reverend Hutchins, thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you so much for having me, and good morning to you.
Good morning. It's such an important issue, and yes, it's nationwide. I will say here in Portland, it was just devastating this last year. We had a record 90 homicides by gun violence. Why do you think violence in the U.S. is reaching this record level?
There's a direct correlation between the record number of violent crimes that we've seen across the country and the tensions that we've seen rising between law enforcement and communities. Study after study for the last several decades have shown that when there's an increase in tension between law enforcement and communities, there's also going to be a rise in crime and violence that follows, which is why we believe it is incumbent upon every community leader, every political leader to work toward resolution of the issues between law enforcement and communities, because it's in all of our interest to make sure that law enforcement knows the people that they're policing and the community has belief, trust, and faith in law enforcement, because when those things begin to dwindle, there is an increase in violent crime. And that's what we've seen across the country over the last couple of years.
Yeah, we saw a lot of conversations last year over the rallying cry of defund the police. That became a term that was really heavily debated. And I think, in reality, there's a bigger conversation there of what does that actually mean? What would that look like? What do communities need to see in terms of the evolution of their police force to best serve the city? So what is the best path to lower violent crime?
Well, the path certainly is not defunding the police. One, that language is divisive. So even the most well-intentioned people who want to place more resources in preventative services and healthcare services and alternative services that give police an option other than locking or arresting people, I think that is a good thing for us to do, but we cannot use the language or advocate defunding the police. What we need is to increase funding for law enforcement. We need to get them the best training, the best tools and resources that are possible. So this notion of defunding the police is really of affront to every community, particularly communities of color, because when there is a decrease in police presence, when law enforcement is not able to provide the kind of training and resources that they need to adequately protect and serve, communities of color, communities of low income are the ones that suffer the most. We need to be looking at how we can actually bring law enforcement and communities together, not to focus on the things we disagree about, but focus on the things that we agree about, because when we do that, we find that there's more that unites us all together than there is that divides us. So we need to really challenge our political leaders not to just do what Dr. King said. Some of our leaders become thermometers that measure temperature. We need leadership that actually is a thermostat that sets the temperature and really puts forth a progressive, positive debate that lowers crime and lowers law enforcement involved tragedies.
Is that unity? Is that what you would say? Is that the path for the police and communities to kind of come together? I think it's tough to maybe have a one-size-fits-all answer for city by city. Every place is different, but is that maybe the most accurate path?
The most accurate path is certainly turning to each other. What we've seen, listen, Travis, I've been at the forefront of civil and human rights advocacy for the last 25 years. I've led protests, marches, and demonstrations from one side of this country to the other. But I think what we've seen is when our protests turn divisive, when they're not peaceful, when they're not advocating what Dr. King called the beloved community, our protests actually work against the interests of social justice. So we've got to figure out a way in every community and in every neighborhood to make sure our law enforcement professionals are responsive to every community, but particularly communities of color. But the only way we can do that is to be in relationship with law enforcement. Every community leader, every faith leader, every civic leader, and certainly every political leader needs to be standing with Chief Lavelle and Sheriff Reese to make sure that in Portland, there is no division between community leadership and law enforcement. That is our only path forward. We cannot continue to have some Americans standing in one corner yelling, "Our lives matter," and a different group of Americans in a different corner yelling, "Our lives matter," because what that has led us to is a record number of officers involved in fatalities where officers lose their lives, as well as record crime and violence. No one is winning, and we've got to choose a different path, and that path is certainly unity.
Yeah, it's a conversation we could continue to have all day,
No doubt.
Reverend.
It's such an
And,
important one to have.
No shortage of topics that need to be covered in this, but we certainly appreciate your insight. Reverend Markle Hutchins, thank you for joining us this morning. Good to talk with you.
It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate your time.
And KOIN 6 has been covering the rise in violence across our region very closely. All year last year, we tracked the homicides that we're seeing in Portland. You can go to KOIN.com right now to read up on the efforts to reduce gun violence in our cities, as well as the new steps being taken by Portland police, new teams, new initiatives for community involvement, all of it on KOIN.com.
Yeah.